So just again, my name is Scarlett Hiller. I'm one of the franchise partners for or at Expedia Cruises. Our annual World Explorer event is hosted by 6 Expedia Cruise locations in Edmonton, and then of course the location in West Vancouver. We are coming up 19 months of where travel has been shut down. The good news is that cruising has begun. Cruise ships have started to sail since June. We now have 4 months of ocean cruises that have happened in Alaska, Caribbean, and Europe. And then river cruising has started up as well this summer. Cruises are operating safely with the highest health protocols, and cruising is by far the safest way to travel. Right now, we're almost at 50 or past 50% capacity of cruises back in the water since the initial shutdown. We have had many customers that have booked through Expedia Cruises that have sailed, and we are getting rave reviews on their cruise experience in this new world, which is fantastic. I just want to reiterate why you want to use a travel advisor with Expedia Cruises. So we offer expertise with hundreds of different cruise ships and lines, and our travel advisors can help you find the right cruise for you. Pricing, you will never pay less booking direct with cruise lines, and that is such an important point. Many times booking with a travel agent will provide you better prices. Plus, they can get extra amenities. Booking with Expedia Cruises, we block group space on hundreds of sailings, and can offer you better pricing and amenities such as shipboard credits compared to booking direct. It is so important that you get all of the information you need to travel now. So we provide that information regarding passports, your visas, entry requirements, COVID testing, and vaccination protocols. And then we are always here to assist you in emergencies. When problems occur, we are here to help. And then finally, the ability to have your entire vacation package planned and monitored by one person. So if you are ready to travel, we are ready to help. We all believe at Expedia Cruises, the time is now. The time is now to plan. The time is now to plan for those vacations 2022, 23, and beyond. And for those people that are interested in traveling now, we are here to help, to guide you. The last year has been challenging, and sometimes what makes us smile is the thought of where we can go next. So whatever your dreams are, our Expedia Cruise consultants can help you make that come true. At Expedia Cruises, we are here and committed to finding you the best value for your travel dollars. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next presenter, and that is Carl Canstatter, who is the Director of Expedition Sales from Silversea Cruises. So welcome, Carl.
Thank you very much, Scarlett.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, thanks very much, and thank you everyone for being here and for taking the time out during your evenings to listen to all of us talk about the things that we are most passionate about. And we love working with Expedia Cruise Ship Centers and just trying to spread the joy of travel. And I'm so happy because I was really fortunate to have been in the Galapagos about 3 weeks ago. I've been home for just under 2, I suppose. And we are sailing again, and the world is reopening. And it's such a pleasure to know that that is happening. So yeah, there I am with the giant tortoises at one of the research centers on San Cristobal Island just a couple of weeks ago. There was a question about testing, and that's what's making all of this possible. The concept of being able to go back and go test traveling right now is we're trying to make it as safe or safer than it would be to walk down Main Street. in your hometown. And we have, Silversea has operated since mid-June, about 45, 46 cruises, and we've moved over 12,000 guests in that time. And we have had a couple of cases where we've caught people, or I don't mean caught, but we've caught COVID prior to people embarking. And there were 3 or 4 cases where people presented with symptoms. We put them in the isolation suites, and it was all handled perfectly well. And they were escorted off the ship, and then we assisted them in getting home. So it's, out of 12,000 to have about 8, and again, 4 of them didn't even make it onto the ship because of the screening processes. It really means that we're doing something very, very well, and it's working. So it is time to get back out there, and it's time to start cruising again. Silversea, our ships are really quite small, and that's what affords us the opportunity to go to over 900 different destinations. This is twice as many as anybody else. And, some of these destinations are so far flung, places that many people haven't heard of. The Kimberley coast off the northwest coast of Australia. We're going to the Russian Far East, so across the Bering from Alaska. We're going to Antarctica. We're going to the Arctic. We're going to the Galapagos, the west coast of Africa. Pretty much anywhere water touches land, that's what we're doing. A northeast passage, so over the top of Russia, a northwest passage over the top of Canada, and literally everywhere in between. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Galapagos and Antarctica in detail after I'll tell you a little bit more. What getting into those destinations means with these small ships, and Kathy touched on this, it's getting to places where the larger ships can't go. And so when it's in expedition, the ship becomes a platform from which we go and explore these areas. And even on the classic side of things, you can see this image on the right-hand side. We're sailing under the Tower Bridge of London. There are 2 cruise lines in the world that can do this. And we're sailing under the Tower Bridge of London. So when our itinerary says London, there isn't a bracket beside London that says Southampton or Greenwich or Dover. We mean London. You're sailing up the Thames, tying up beside the HMS Belfast, and you're downtown. So we really mean it when we say that we're taking it to places that the other ships can't go. Our largest ship in terms of guest capacity is 608 people. So when you compare that to some of the ships that are out there these days, you can understand why we're getting into ports that the 4,000 and the 5,000 and the 6,000 passenger ships cannot get to. And there's nothing wrong with those. It's just a different style of traveling. Our smallest ship was the one I was just on in the Galapagos at 100 guests. So those are some pretty small ships when you consider what's happening out there. They're intimate small ships, but everything is suite accommodation. So all of the suites are suites. There are no inside cabins. Everything is a suite. Everything is exterior, and about 80% of our suites are veranda suites. Superior service. Every suite category, from the bottom to the top, comes with butler service included, gratuities included, Wi-Fi included. We're truly all inclusive to the extent now that we're including limo service from home to the airport, your international airfare, all the transfers. If there's a pre-hotel needed because of the flight schedule, that's included. Shore excursions starting next spring are included. As I mentioned, butler service and gratuities, premium beverages, etc. Getting you home with that international air, and then the limo transfer back home. And when we're talking about expedition, everything I'm going to be talking about in the Galapagos and Antarctica, all the enrichment lectures, the flights that we need domestically, the expedition team, when we get off the ship by Zodiac, when we step foot on Antarctica, the cold weather parka, all of those things are included as well. So truly all inclusive when you consider that a limo is coming to your door to pick you up at the beginning of this. So we're going to talk a little bit more about expedition. And this again provides all of these incredible means to discover, because these ships are taking you to places. We talked about small ports, but in the case of expedition, the ships are taking you to places that you cannot get to on your own. It's impossible. So we take these small ships and again, use them as a platform from which to go and explore, either by Zodiac or on foot, sea kayak. And the expedition team, these are the experts. These are the historians, the geologists, the marine biologists, ornithologists. They're bringing it to life. They're giving your lectures. These are truly enrichment voyages because the expedition team are there describing things along the way. And these are folks with undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees. They've written books. They've had books written about them. One of our expedition leaders is a woman who was the very first woman to scuba dive in Antarctica in 1988. Who do you want to take? Who do you want having take you to Antarctica? Somebody like that who's been, over 100 times and was scuba diving there in the 80s. So our expedition fleet is made up of these 4 vessels, ranging in capacity from 100 guests to 274. So again, these are really small vessels. So what do I mean by expedition cruising? Well, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not this. And these folks are not on expedition. And there's nothing wrong with that. Typically, when people are starting out, they're younger. They have younger families. They may not have as much disposable income. They may not have as much vacation time. And a cruise ship that is the destination, those ships with wave pools and zip lines and go-karts, the ship is the destination. That's wonderful. But as we get older and more established in our careers and we've got a little bit more disposable income, we decide that we want to travel with fewer people. A smaller ship with fewer people and more amenities and more comfort. Why do we move from economy class to premium economy airfare or from premium to business? Because there's more space, it's more comfortable, there's more choice. That's why we do it. So similarly with expedition. And again, expedition, then those ships are the platform from which we go and explore these incredible parts of the world. So now let's talk about the Galapagos a little bit more. 2 different itineraries. They can be done back to back. Each one is 7 days. So when you combine them, it's 14 days. You will never visit the same site twice. You might visit the same island, but you'll be visiting different sites on the same island. So these 2 itineraries, very comprehensive if you do them back to back. Most people do one, and it's a Saturday to Saturday cruise. We start in Quito. So the limo picks you up at your door. International Air takes you to Quito, Ecuador. We spend 2 nights there and then fly over to the islands. Your internal flights, your domestic flights are included, and then 7 nights aboard our brand new ship in the Galapagos. A lot of people will ask, what's the best time of year to go? It really depends on what you want. If you don't mind sort of hotter, more humid, muggy weather, and the mid-80s doesn't bother you, then you might want to go anytime between January and May. If that is too warm and you don't like humidity and you want something that's a little more like what we're having now, sort of early autumn days, then you might want to consider June through December. Now, the water temperature is a little colder at that time of year. So if you don't mind the cooler water, as I said, I was just there in September and the snorkeling was fantastic. Snorkeling with sea rays, snorkeling with sea lions, turtles, penguins, all kinds of things. So again, it really depends on what you're looking for. There's no bad time of year to go. And speak with your Expedia travel advisor and try to find out, if you've got a window of opportunity, let's find out what's happening on each island at that time of year. And let's really drill down and make sure that that's a good time for you. I talked about the expedition team before and how they're ornithologists and glaciologists, marine biologists. Unique to the Galapagos is that all of the expedition team have to be permanent residents of the Galapagos. So they're showing you their home. These are folks who live there. They are permanent residents. In many cases, their grandparents and their parents were born and raised and live in the Galapagos. So they really are showing you their backyard, and they love showing you their backyard. It's a really, really casual trip. We're at the equator, so it doesn't get particularly cool in the evening. And during the day, it's really nice, moderate temperatures. So shorts and sandals and t-shirts are pretty much the order of the day. Certainly when we're out exploring and we're moving around by Zodiac, getting all over the place. those naturalists, the Galapagos National Park Service naturalists who are our expedition team, they're the ones who are bringing it to life. So we go out in small groups of 8 to 10 people per guide, and the guide is describing everything and explaining it and bringing it to life for us, talking about the wildlife, talking about the marine life, talking about the volcanic nature of the islands, everything you can imagine. And then each one of them has a specialty, and each one of them will give a lecture at one point during the cruise. So we explore on foot, we explore by Zodiac, and we also explore by sea kayak. So a number of opportunities over the course of the cruise, I believe 5 different opportunities on each of those 2 itineraries, at which point you can get in a kayak and go and explore. And I had the most incredible experience a couple of weeks ago where for some reason, the 2:30 time slot was full. I couldn't go. So I looked at the 4, I went back down at 4. Nobody was signed up for the 4 o'clock time slot. They gave me my own solo kayak, and one of the guides followed me in a Zodiac just from a safety perspective, but I was kayaking by myself, and about 20 or 25 spotted eagle rays were in the water with me. And if I dipped too far with my paddle, I'm sure I would have hit them. And it was turquoise blue water like this. It was absolutely spectacular. So there are some amazing opportunities. It's the only place in the world where you can snorkel with sea turtles and penguins, Galapagos penguins. The snorkeling is phenomenal. Again, about 5 opportunities per itinerary. We provide all the snorkeling gear. And currently, with COVID protocols, we are giving you a brand new mask and snorkel. So you walk into your suite, and in addition to the backpack and the water bottle that we provide, we're giving you a brand new mask and snorkel for you to take home. So we provide all the gear. An amazing destination for kids. This is my son, Alex, and we were there in 2018 when he was 5. And when I told him a couple of weeks ago that I was going to the Galapagos, we only accept people that are fully vaccinated at this time. He knew that, and he was rather displeased with me that I was going back to the Galapagos without him. But I couldn't take him because he's not vaccinated yet, because he loved it. It's an incredible destination for kids because there's really nothing they can get into that's harmful. 97% of the Galapagos is undeveloped. So we arrive at these beaches, these pristine areas, and there are no yacht clubs, no marinas, no condo developments, no hotels, no speedboats. It's just us and this beautiful, pristine beach. So you take kids there and they just wander the beach and beachcomb and pick things up along the way. And the wildlife that we encounter know no fear of us, and they know that we're not a predator of theirs. So they're not concerned, and they're not going to lash out and attack us. So you're fine from that perspective as well. The kids see this wildlife from a few feet away, and there's no fear that the wildlife is going to harm us or hurt us. So here's our brand new ship. She was ready last year in July, but obviously we couldn't sail. So she started sailing in June of this year, designed and built with the Galapagos in mind. Look at all of this glass. One of the design features was to make sure that you could look out and see the Galapagos from anywhere you are in the ship, whether it's a dining room, a lecture hall, whatever it might be. This is how we arrive. So you arrive at the marina. There is no dock facility in the Galapagos that's large enough for any of the cruise ships. So everyone, whether it's Silversea or anybody else, you always arrive at the ship this way. And upon arrival in the ship, we have this area called base camp, which is another way to explore the Galapagos. Even when we're sailing, we've created a mini museum all about the Galapagos. And that's the sort of traditional way of looking at things. Here's the modern way of looking at things. The podium that you see in the lower right-hand corner, you can pull up anything about the Galapagos. Imagine Google at sea, but specifically for the Galapagos. And you can pull up anything you want to. Listen to the call of a bird that you saw. Listen to the whale song of a whale that you saw. Look up anything you want, and it displays all on this massive wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling screen. The suites are absolutely spectacular. This ship, everyone's been raving and raving and raving about this ship. I can't say enough about it. And just how well laid out it is. It's certainly comfortable and luxurious, but from an expedition perspective, it's laid out extremely well. Kathy talked about fireplaces on board, and this is one of the parts of the ship that I absolutely love. At the stern on deck 4, we've got this open fireplace. So just a wonderful place to hang around post dinner and have a drink and just sit there and enjoy. That's a very iconic spot in Galapagos called Kicker Rock. All right, and moving on to Antarctica. This place is unlike anything you've ever seen in the world. I've been really fortunate in my travel career of 35 something years to have been to 74 or 70 something countries. There's nothing in the world like Galapagos. You know, you travel somewhere and you say, well, it's like this, but without the palm trees, or it's like that, but the food's better. We always make these comparisons, and you cannot compare the Antarctica to anything else, not even to the Arctic. It's that unique. So one of the questions that comes up about expedition very often is, do I have to be a triathlete? How fit do I need to be to do this? And you can see here, this is a fairly level landing at this gravel beach where we are. So we say that if you can play a round of golf, if you can climb a couple of flights of stairs, if you can walk the mall for a little while, you can do this. This is a wet landing. We give you all sorts of ideas of packing lists and where to get the right boots and that sort of thing. In this case, the tide's going out, so we're asking our guests to do a wet landing and then walk ashore again over this relatively flat, even surface. So if this is as much activity as you're looking for, that's fine. That's as much as you need to do, because the wildlife will come to you. You're really in the middle of things. You're in the thick of the activity. If you're looking for something more active, of course, with all of these expedition members on board, there's always somebody who's willing to take you up and go do a hike to some really gorgeous lookout. And while we have some guests ashore, because we're limited in how many people we can take ashore for environmental reasons, we take the other group of guests Zodiac Cruising. So one of our ships in Antarctica, the Silver Explorer, is 144 guests. While we have, and I'll just use round figures, while we have 70 guests ashore, and they're looking at the penguin colonies and they're doing their hike or they're walking along the beach, we have the other 70, 8 or 10 to a Zodiac, exploring with these Zodiacs and getting up close to the wildlife in a different way and seeing glaciers and seeing icebergs, all from this perspective of just being a couple feet off the water. And it's absolutely amazing because Antarctica is teeming with wildlife, hundreds of thousands, in some cases, millions of penguins. Where there are penguins, there are leopard seals and orcas, because the leopard seals and the orcas want to eat the penguins. So you can see that Zodiac Cruising is a really crucial and critical part of this as well. And then for those that want a little more activity again, sea kayaking again. And just to remind you, all of the excursions that I'm talking about, all included. We're not going to ask you to reach into your pocket because you want to go sea kayaking. You're already there. We've got the sea kayaks. We're going to take you sea kayaking, and it's all included. I talked about the perspective in the Zodiac and how you're a couple feet off the water. Now you're at water level. So it's truly insane and beautiful. Expedition in general, if those two areas don't appeal to you, think about the Indian Ocean, think about other parts of South America, polar regions, so in this case the Arctic or Alaska or the Russian Far East, the Kimberley coast off of Australia, and Northern Europe, so around the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, up into the Faroes, up into Iceland. Kathy was talking about that as well, up into Greenland. So just amazing destinations. And even some closer to home. We're doing some expeditions. If you're not ready to go too far afield yet, consider the west coast of Canada and the US, and consider the east coast of the US. In this case, we're going northbound from the US and up into Halifax and around Newfoundland as well. So close to home and as far away as you can possibly imagine. We've got a wonderful blog called discover.silversea.com. So if there's something there that inspires you, give your Expedia travel advisor a call, and there's the whole world is your oyster. So thank you very, very much. And when you do get out traveling again, it's have a wonderful time. It's time to get back out there again, and it's safe, I promise you.
Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate that. The silver origin looks amazing, and like you, I love the back fireplaces. That would be where I would hang out.
It's stunning. It's stunning.
Yeah.
And who knew we were going to have open flames on a ship?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that when I saw them first. So I was going, no, that's wonderful. You had only one question, but I think you answered it. And Sarah asked, how small are the ships? But I think with your fleet slide, you answered that question. I hope, Sarah, that you got the answer that you want. If you haven't, please reach out to your travel consultant, and he or she will be able to give you all of the details about the ship that you're most interested in. So again, thank you very much, Carl. Like you said, travel is starting right now. It is safe to do so. People are booking for 2022, 23. The space already for a lot of these destinations are already filling up, and some of your sailings are already sold out, I know. So the time is now to book them. A lot of the suppliers, i.e. Silversea Cruises, there's flexible booking options. So the investment for you to book now is pretty low stress at this point in time.
Yeah, it's protected.
Yeah.
And just quickly on the dates, you know, particularly holiday dates and things like that, or when kids are out of school, if you're thinking Galapagos or Antarctica, those are really starting to fill up quickly. So take a look and give it, start to think about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.